Steel Curtain is a large steel roller coaster at Kennywood in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, just outside of East Pittsburgh. Themed to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steel Curtain opened in 2019 as part of the new Steelers Country section of the park. I'm going to level with you. There is not going to be a lot of football talk in this video. Usually a theme resonates with me, but Steel Curtain Steelers theming just might as well not exist for me. Speaking of not existing, most of Steelers Country. In 2018, these concept images for Steelers Country were used by the press for the announcement of the new 2019 editions. These images were even used by the Pittsburgh Steelers in their announcement. Now, I know that theme park concept art is typically overblown, but a lot of additions that were promised have been seemingly dropped completely. This image of a physical training course is hilarious to me. These images are all pretty funny to me after my experience at Steelers Country. I somehow missed the End Zone Cafe. Apparently it does exist. All that I remember seeing is the gift shop, which is not bad, and a big football helmet. Steelers Country doesn't even cut it as a Steelers Village. Anyways, back to Steel Curtain. I think that the black and gold paint scheme looks great. These colors don't clash with the park in theory. I mean, black and yellow are the Kennywood colors. This is a very yellowish gold.
Right you are, Billy.
Thanks. You can call me 0 credits remaining. Anyways, and yet, these colors don't feel very Kennywood. It's sort of ironic, but I think that it's a part of the bigger issue that this coaster just isn't very Kennywood. But we will get to that. This record-breaking roller coaster is from manufacturer S&S Sansei Technologies, and it is a monster. Steel Curtain's designer is Joe Draves. I have already reviewed 2 of his creations, Lightning Run and Max Force, very positively. Max Force is another S&S coaster that opened in 2019, so in my head, these 2 coasters were somewhat sister coasters, if that makes sense. They share the same train design, the same track design, and the same opening year. In a 2018 interview, Joe Draves had said that he had never been more excited about a roller coaster. Steel Curtain was my early pick for the best new US coaster of 2019. My hype did not meet its general reception, yet somehow Steel Curtain won the Golden Ticket Award for the best new roller coaster of 2019, above Hagrid's? How? And Copperhead Strike and Untamed, above Taiga? Golden Ticket Awards. Are you sure about that? These days, every roller coaster needs to open with a gimmick or a broken record. That's not exactly a criticism, because only rarely do I feel like it negatively affects a roller coaster's layout. Steel Curtain features the world's tallest inversion, the Dragonfire dive drop, standing at 197 feet tall. This drop pays homage to the inverting first drop on the defunct Busch Gardens Williamsburg roller coaster, Dragonfire. However, Steel Curtain's most identifiable trait for me is its 9 inversions. Steel Curtain's second claim to broken record fame is featuring the most inversions in North America. In normal people English, this ride goes upside down a total of 9 times. 9 inversions are a lot, and you can feel those 9 inversions. If you experience motion sickness, this may not be your ride.
Right you are, Billy.
Thanks. You can call me 0 credits remaining. Anyways, by the way, I know that Kennywood also boasts that Steel Curtain has the record for tallest roller coaster in Pennsylvania. So take that, Hershey Park, I guess. Hey, Steel Curtain is the first football-themed roller coaster too! That's great, champ. So let's talk theming for Steel Curtain. The Steel Curtain was the name for the famous 1970s defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that Steel Curtain's logo is actually pretty cool. It features steel being casted inside of the ride's name, sporting a sick gradient. The black trains feature the same yellow stripes as both the helmets and the jerseys worn by the Steelers players. The seats are footballs. Delightful. The 33 painted on the front of the one train is for 1933, the year that the Steelers were founded. The 19 painted on the second train is for 2019, the roller coaster's opening year. There is Q audio featuring somewhat dramatic sounding music. I believe there's a few tracks of different music styles. I tuned it out, to be honest, but what I couldn't tune out was the spoken Q audio between music tracks.
Right you are, Billy.
Holy shit! Shut up! For all that is holy!
For your listening pleasure, a spoken audio from the line of Steel Curtain.
It's a beautiful day for thrills, and this coaster is guaranteed to deliver.
Right you are, Billy. And it's a good idea to secure those hats, glasses, cell phones, and keys. Any loose items that may fly offside during the ride. Leave them with a bug right.
It's incredibly hard to decipher what is being said during this audio feature due to the incredibly loud lift hill above the Q-line switchbacks, but I am sure that I've heard "Right You Are, Billy" at least 100 times during my wait. Several guests around us were occasionally mocking it. I can only begin to describe what it is like to hear that every few minutes in a span of 2 hours. It was funny, and then it got so old that it was painful until it came around to being funny again. And then it got painful for a second time, and stayed that way. The final stretch of the Q area features the Sus fence, a fence with dozens, hundreds maybe, of Among Us on it. So my favorite part of the Q area is not the theming. It's the fantastic interaction of the roller coaster soaring above you through its massive inversions and sweeping turns. And with that, I suppose it's time to talk Steel Curtain stats. If you had asked me where Kennywood could locate a 220-foot tall, 4,000-foot long roller coaster, I would not have pointed at this location. It is insane to me that this coaster fits where it does, further cementing my theory that Joe Draves is an all-powerful coaster mage. This coaster doesn't just cram 9 inversions together and call it a day. It features a wide variety of different types of inversions alongside several banked curves and airtime hills. The inversions all have a good flow as well. How does this layout feel as natural as it does? It doesn't feel shoehorned into this space, however, it looks a bit shoehorned into this space. The former Logjammer log flume fit this space much better. So let's move on to how well this roller coaster fits Kennywood. And we'll also talk a lot specifically about how it doesn't fit Kennywood because Steel Curtain is a very polarizing and perplexing roller coaster. Steel Curtain fits Kennywood because the coaster lineup at this park lacked an inversion-focused roller coaster. Steel Curtain also fits Kennywood because it gives the park a skyline. Kennywood sits on high terrain, and all I could see up there during the drive up was Steel Curtain. The last reason why I think that Steel Curtain fits Kennywood is that it is beyond 200 feet tall. It's a very imposing, tall roller coaster that towers above guests. Phantom's Revenge has its ravine drop pretty hidden from the pathways, and the first drop is just 160 feet tall. Steel Curtain has the wow factor that a beyond 200 foot tall roller coaster brings to a park. Now, why does Steel Curtain not fit Kennywood? It's located by some of the park's most classic rides, and what feels like its main central hub by Kangaroo and the George Washington statue. The George Washington statue. Steel Curtain is so close to Racer. The locals are very proud of the century-old traditions tightly held in place at their home park. The Steelers theming feels very tacky, especially for this park. When I said that the colors didn't suit the park, I was referring to the towers of dominating gold support beams. It's so cute walking through the main midway up to Jackrabbit, Kangaroo, Racer, and then suddenly Steel Curtain just assaults your eyes. And to add insult to injury, this ride just does not work right. There is so much wrong with it. A memorable moment was watching the train dispatch and then halt before the chain lift. Over the speaker, a ride op said, "Don't worry, it's just warming up." Oh, okay. A few moments later, it very slowly started ascending the lift until it kicked into its regular speed, which is still really slow, and the anti-rollbacks are extremely loud. This is just a loud coaster. 2 hours of just noise, watching very slow dispatches added on top of a very slow chain lift. For about 5 to 10 minutes, Steel Curtain also closed due to high winds. While standing in the station, we were next up to ride, and a strong gust of wind sparks conversation amongst the ride ops. Supposedly, the train valleyed twice that morning before the dive loop. I wasn't feeling optimistic while waiting in line for this coaster because of its reputation. In fact, shortly after my visit, Steel Curtain has once again returned to a temporarily closed state. Name a more iconic duo. On its opening day, one of Steel Curtain's trains stopped on its lift hill and the attraction was closed for the day. Steel Curtain also has the reputation of being rough or shaky. Interestingly, it was not rough in my experience. It just didn't feel like a newer Steel coaster. There was a slight roughness that was fine. I was told by other people in my party that it was the smoothest ride that they had gotten on Steel Curtain. Watching older POV videos, there does seem to be a significant shakiness to the ride. I'm curious if any maintenance was done to improve the tracking with the trains.
Ride experience.
The restraints are the same as Max Force's, at least as far as I can tell. A smaller clamshell kind of restraint with some shin restraints. These restraints fit well for me, but not for everyone, unfortunately. As the train leaves the station, we are met with special dispatch audio.
There's the whistle, Billy.
The kick is up, and this one is underway.
Again, this lift hill engages very slowly and does not pick up much. But the view from the lift hill of Pittsburgh below is unreal. It's one of the best views that I've ever seen on a lift hill. Looking down across the river at the steel factory is really cool. The Dragonfire dive drop is a very good inversion filled with hang time. I'm a fan of the way it briefly begins twisting out and then dives back into itself. After a low speedy section with a slight left turn, we head into the big banana roll. This section before the banana roll was included to avoid too many sustained positive G-forces, something that Joe Draves tries to avoid in his designs. There's decent airtime over the speed hill. Up next is my favorite inversions on the ride, the Sea Serpent. This element is so fluid, and the drop out of the double roll is so unique. Crossing over the bridge, this excellent airtime hill gives a solid moment of ejector airtime. Throw in a dive loop because, at this point, why not? Brief straight track over the water brings us into a 0G stall. It doesn't stall for very long, but twisting inwards and back outwards is a fun sensation. It's a pretty whippy one. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the airtime hill and 0G stall combo. The way that it is featured over the bridge and the water is picturesque. The following corkscrew transitions into a bank turn wrapping around the queue line. It was running very slow through this section during my ride, so more hang time. Pacing is just starting to take a dive, but this cutback inversion is fantastic. Before it can overstay its welcome, Steel Curtain glides into the final breaks. If you can't tell, I love most of the inversions on this. As a recurring theme, a lot of them have the same inwards-outwards twisting style. The Dragonfire dive drop, banana roll, 0G stall, and cutback all have this switching motion, and I love it. I also really like roller coasters that drop with an inversion. Steel Curtain ticks a lot of boxes for me, but I do think that I would enjoy it more if it was running a touch faster. Of course, I only rode it once, and it was very early in the day, and apparently wind was really messing with this ride. But extra hang time was a bonus in its own way. This inversion-focused roller coaster still provides a good amount of variety. I rate Steel Curtain a very good and very fun. If they get everything repaired with it, I think they'll have a great roller coaster on their hands. But I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't a little concerned. I really liked my ride on Steel Curtain, but I'm still feeling conflicted. Many of its qualities that I complimented were later contradicted by something that I criticized them for. Like I said, it's a very perplexing roller coaster. So what do you think of Steel Curtain? Write your thoughts on either the suspense or in the comments section down below. This has been Zero Credits Remaining, reminding you all to never make Pittsburghers angry. Exits to your right.
on, Billy.